Here we have the 5-port USB desktop charger by Inateck. And the reason I wanted this particular unit is because it's small and it also allows for multiple devices to be charged at different amps. So you've got 3 of these that output 5 volts at 1 amp, and you've got 2 of these sockets that output 5 volts at 2 amp for the more power hungry devices like iPads, etc. So this is going to be fantastic for all the phones and smartphones, tablets and e-readers we've got in the house, and hopefully make a much tidier setup on our charging area. Okay, let's open the box. The outer card is a sleeve, but it's a sturdy box. This came direct from Inateck via Amazon, so they use Amazon as their shipping retailer. So that's absolutely fine. All came in very prompt time and good condition. Inside, a nice sturdy box, Inateck branded, and inside straight away you get to see and it is surprisingly small. It's no bigger than some of the smartphones that I'm going to be placing near it to charge. So there's, let me quickly throw in an iPhone 5, there we go, iPhone 5S there, and it's smaller than that, so obviously a little bit deeper, but certainly that's the kind of size. Let's just rip this bag open, and you've got here a very nice little device, power button on the back, power input itself, so there's a little remote transformer that you then pop on the floor near your house main socket, which is just underneath this cardboard cover. Already comes with a UK plug, which would, I guess, based on the country you order it from, have the appropriate power connector that you require. And they're a bit like a laptop, small laptop transformer, I guess, but there's the actual power behind the beast that you can tuck away quite nicely behind or underneath your charging point. And there's an instruction guide as well. So what I'm going to do is just going to plug all this in, get it connected, and show you it charging some of the more fussier devices, including iPhones, but I've also got Nokia phones, I've also got Blackberries, etc. So let's get a few things plugged in and charging. Phones, there's a Nokia N96, an old Blackberry Curve, as well as some of the newer things like the iPhone 5S, the iPad Mini Retina, and one of the newer Kindles. So I'm going to just literally go around plugging things in and just let you see that everything works basically. So the Amazon, I know, needs just under an amp and 5 volts, so let's just plug that in. It's quite a long cable, so I'm going to just tidy it up a little bit as I go, but this is just being done on my table just so I can show you how everything works. So there's a little orange light down there to show that's charging. Also with Kindles, you don't get a lot of telltale sign regarding the screen display, etc. So this cable's an actual official Apple product, and I'm going to do this for 2 reasons. So I'm going to plug this one into the iPhone 5S, really again just to satisfy people that the power that you get from the Inateck doesn't upset Apple devices. Some people have problems with leads and or chargers, so I want to make sure that you can see there's no issue there. This time I'm actually using a third-party cable to power the iPad Mini Retina. Let's just pop that in the bottom there. As you can see by the moose, that's the friendly Swede. I've actually got the cable here and a little bit of a... Oops, I'm knocking the Blackberry there. Let's just put that out of the way a minute. So I've actually got that little cable tie there because it's actually a 2-meter cable, so it's particularly long, but it serves the purpose to show you that it's actually charging the iPad Mini. And I've popped that into one of the what they call supercharge, i.e. the 2 amp outputs, so I know that will charge at a good healthy rate. Let's just pop one of these short. Now the old N96 needed a rather peculiar bayonet small adapter, so let's just pop that where it needs it. There we go. And the Blackberry, a little bit special. I've got a short lead that came with the Blackberry, so it's a branded Blackberry lead. You can see there, if you're very close and zoom in, you can just see the Blackberry iconography. And I'm deliberately plugging this into one of the superchargers just to really show that the system's very clever and it detects what voltage is required, what ampage and voltage is required, etc. So that's quite happily charging now. And there you have. So we've got 5 very different devices. Now I've done this to cram it onto the table to show you how everything can plug in, and I've done it just really so you can see it all one by one. So the Inateck device has got a small little blank blue lamp there to show you that it's charging. I can turn them all off now by one button press. A few of them woke up when I pressed that button because they went, oh, power's been removed. but it's also a really nice little peace of mind, so you know that once everything's fully charged, you can now manage the actual power as well going into the unit. So it's a good way for you to be safe and sure that everything's unplugged, except if you go out or before you go to bed, etc. Or you could of course leave things on charging overnight, depending how you want to use it. So there's just me popping it all back on again. So no issues at all. Really nice. The fact that you've got auto sensing ampage. So like I say, the BlackBerry needs 1 amp 5 volts, but the iPad mini Retina certainly needs its 2 amps, others will take forever to charge. And you've seen modern devices and older devices, including good old mainstay non-typical smartphone devices like the Reader Kindle here. So as you can see, great deal of versatility. Now some of these older devices aren't actually in use in our household anymore, and I'm now going to set this up the way we're going to use it. So let's just talk dimensions and cable lengths. So the cable length from the actual transformer itself to the very end connector that plugs into the back of the actual 5-port USB charger is exactly 120 centimeters, and that's a good length, so that's more than a meter. Now most tables are, let's say, between 75 and 80 centimeters, so that's again plenty of room to have that on the floor. And I'm going to actually be putting this unit on a bit of a bureau, so it's quite a tall thing, and it's just over a meter tall, but again that's a good length there, so this can just neatly stay on the floor out of sight. The length of cable from this transformer to the actual wall plug that they supply with this is 110 centimeters, so again just over a meter. So that gives me plenty of room and play to be able to actually locate this unit where I want and keep this part out the way on the floor, so that's really good. The dimensions for this are very small and it's slightly curved, so what I'll give you here, I'm going to give you as though it's a complete clean rectangle. It's 102 millimeters in length, 57 millimeters in width, and 21 millimeters in height, maybe a little bit taller in the middle, but again it's a very small, really nice, quite robust plastic, feels good in the hand, doesn't seem to gather fingerprints or anything, except I've been handling it quite a bit. Okay, so here's the current setup. So at the back here I've got a multi-way power adapter, this great big white thing, into which are all the variously different chargers for the various different devices. But what really happens, and I've made this quite neat to be honest, so it's a lot less than this normally. What actually happens though is people come along and they'll take away maybe the iPad for the day. That might go in their bag or into upstairs, one of the bedrooms for example. That might not come back. Maybe the cable does, maybe the iPad Retina certainly will. Someone's going to want to charge it. They're forever unplugging and plugging in and switching and stealing other people's cables from other people's devices. Never quite sure, can I use the Amazon Kindle on my iPhone, etc. So you get all this kind of issue going on where actually you'll find that an awful lot of the devices have got similar cables now. So the cables aren't the issue, and the cables are also cheap. Where these things, these great big hunking things, aren't cheap, especially the Apple devices. They're not particularly cheap at all, and they come in different varieties as well. And this whole situation with Inateck are going to completely remove the need for having this. And it also means that if somebody wants to keep one of these in their bedroom, they can do. If someone wants to keep that at their desk at work or at college, university, school, etc., they can do. So that can completely detach themselves from needing to have, having to carry one of these around with them. So this is the current setup. I'm now going to put it the new way. Okay, I admit I was tempted to tuck all the cables down the back like I have done with the Kindle charger cable, but I guess that's a little bit unrealistic, and I think people are going to probably just want to come along, pop their device down and very simply just plug in the cable that they've got, or use one that's compatible that's already there. So for example, if I've got in a drawer just below where I'm charging various cables and a place to keep things neat and tidy that aren't in use, I can then just have people come along, plug in whatever they need into whatever device they need, and it's going to be as easy as that. So I guess the cables you can't yet get rid of, so there's no point me trying to, I guess, be unrealistic and show you that they disappear. But certainly what we're now not doing is having to fight over the right power supplies or fight over having the right charger in the right room, and generally this is an awful lot simpler and easier and more straightforward. Now as you can see, there's an awful lot of Apple devices here, so we're quite an Apple household, and therefore we've got a lot of cables with the same ends, both ends, and therefore they're interchangeable between the iPhones and the iPads, so let's just quickly turn it all on again. Now I've plugged things in and out with the power on and off. It was really just me showing you that little ping there that everything has come on power, no problem at all. Certainly this is an awful lot neater. I've actually got quite a bit more space here on the top of my bureau, and there's loads more room to be able to put things. I'm not trying to encourage even more phones and pads and devices, etc., but it's really quite easy, and I can't probably avoid these cables hanging over the front totally. I could absolutely tie them up and put them all down the back so that people have to then use the cables out the front, but to do that I'd need a few spare cables. But certainly this has given me a much tidier, safer and easier way of charging everything. I can put this on a timer if I want. I can make sure when everyone goes out of the house everything goes off, so that any devices not being taken with us are no longer taking or draining power necessarily. So it's really great for management of power in the house, etc. And forever no more now are we looking for these chargers to get those iPad mini retinas fully charged quickly. So that's a real value in my book, that we're no longer having to hunt around for the right socket, for the right adapter, for the right device. So I think all in all, the Inateck, really nice device, makes things really simple and plain and easy. It's a really nice little discreet unit. Doesn't need to be any bigger, certainly couldn't be much smaller. So the Kindle USB connector is quite wide, but as you can see, I keep putting it in the middle just to show there's still plenty of room either side. So it's a well-designed unit. And to be honest, you couldn't really design this any differently. That would make it any better. I don't want it bigger, I don't want it heavier. This is perfect. Okay, let's have a quick box spin. So obviously the front has got just quite plain lettering. The top side has actually got product code details, including the country code, so you can see what kind of plug you're going to get on the end of the power cord. The very back, much more detail. The part number, which is UC5001. All the specifications which I've gone through in this video. Good list of compatible devices there, but basically it says anything that needs a 5-volt power supply and can be plugged into a USB port. So really good. The super smart sensing charging port controllers are very good, and I've tested with old and new kit. All the contact details, email address, phone number and fax, as well as the website details. So really quite a lot of information on that. Very simple packaging though it is. As you can see, the Inateck device has totally brought order to our charging area. I hope you found this video useful. Please feel free to like, subscribe and comment.